Imagine you're floating hundreds of miles above Earth, tucked inside a spacecraft, staring out at a vast emptiness broken only by stars. The mission lasts years, supplies are precious, and in the corner, your only hope for fresh food, bright green sprouts, are curling and twisting in confusion. Why? Because in space, even the simplest act, growing a plant, requires a revolution in science. What if magnets, not gravity, became the invisible hand that would one day feed us on Mars? Could the ordinary force behind your fridge door unlock a new era for human survival beyond Earth? Today, you're about to discover a story where high school students, iron-rich peas, and inspired ingenuity might just change the way humanity eats in the final frontier. Let's step back for a second. It's easy to take for granted how crops grow on our planet. Gravity, that constant pull, tells roots to burrow downward and shoots to climb toward the sun. This instinct isn't just an evolutionary quirk, it's a matter of survival. Roots need to find water, shoots need to reach light. A seed buried under the soil is making decisions, using gravity as its compass. But in the weightless environment of a spacecraft, this ancient wisdom is lost. In orbit, gravity, a force that's shaped life for billions of years, vanishes. And for plants, this means chaos. At the Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair, some of the world's brightest young minds showed how big this small problem really is. Emma Tillery, 15 from Georgia, wanted to see firsthand how plants cope when their sense of up and down is scrambled. She didn't need a ticket to the International Space Station, just a clever device called a clinostat. Imagine a giant, fast-spinning clock. By rotating the seeds constantly, she tricked them into experiencing a world where the direction of gravity keeps changing. The results were dramatic. Emma's seeds, planted in petri dishes with a nutrient gel, should have sent their roots straight down and shoots up. Instead, their growth became strange art. The shoots looped and spiraled, tracing circles around their starting points. Their roots fumbled, growing only half as long. Even worse, these confused sprouts needed 2 to 3 extra days to emerge, losing precious energy just to figure out which way to grow. It might sound abstract, but for future astronauts floating toward Mars, every calorie matters. Each seed's wasted effort is a loss humanity can feel, an inefficiency that could threaten entire missions. Emma's findings were so compelling she took home first prize in plant sciences at the world's most competitive science fair. Her main conclusion? If humans want to thrive on long-term space journeys, we'd better find a way to give plants a sense of direction, without gravity. But gravity is a stubborn thing. You can't just bottle it or ship it to the International Space Station. That's where a second brilliant team enters our story, halfway across the globe. Saipan International School, on a Pacific island few can point to on a map. 3 teens, Leah Kim, Dong-hyun Lee, and Dong-gyu Lee, wondered, what if we could trick plants into thinking gravity was still there by using magnets? Let that sink in. Magnets, the everyday objects that stick notes to your fridge or power electric motors, might also hold the key to feeding astronauts hundreds of millions of kilometers from home. Their idea was inspired by something called magneto-priming, a process scientists have used for years, but for a different purpose. Traditionally, magnetized water has been used to help seeds sprout faster and grow stronger. But the science of why and how is just beginning to reveal itself. Here's the secret. Inside every seed, certain metals, like iron, react to magnetic forces. When these metals are exposed to strong fields, something remarkable happens. The seed releases more of a hormone called auxin, which helps water flood into its cells and ramps up the production of proteins. The result? Faster, more vigorous growth. Magneto-priming is just a fancy word for magnetizing, Leah Kim laughs. Yet her team took this concept in a bold new direction. Instead of soaking the seeds in magnetized water, which could mess with results, they placed sugar snap pea seeds, rich in iron, directly inside a stack of donut-shaped magnets for 24 hours. This ensured each seed was equally magnetized from every direction. But they didn't stop there. To truly mimic space, they grew these treated seeds inside petri dishes on a clinostat, with 2 magnets attached to one side. The hypothesis: could the magnetized seeds sense the field, orienting their growth toward the stable pull of the magnets, even under the dizzying chaos of simulated microgravity? The results turned heads. Magnetized seeds burst forth 28% faster than their ordinary cousins. Their stems remained straight and true, as if guided by an invisible hand. In contrast, non-magnetized peas grew tangled and confused, wasting energy in twists and coils. The magneto-primed pea plants didn't just grow faster, they grew 67% more efficiently, with shoots tracking a path almost 74 degrees closer to the intended direction. It's as if we've given plants back their compass, Dong-Hyun Lee explained. Without gravity, magnets can point the way. At this point, it's natural to ask, if the answer is so simple, why isn't NASA growing all its crops in magnetic gardens already? The reality is, the stakes and the science are more complex. There's plenty we don't yet know about how living things sense and respond to magnetic forces, especially at the cellular level. Could magnets help other crops besides iron-rich peas and chickpeas? Will long-term exposure to magnetic fields affect the safety or nutrition of our food? And how do we scale up these clever petri dish experiments to work in a floating greenhouse orbiting the moon or deep in the red deserts of Mars? Listen to this. According to experts in controlled environment agriculture, the biggest hurdle for growing food off-world isn't just nutrient supply or water recycling. It's teaching plants how to grow straight and strong, so astronauts get predictable, efficient harvests. As Dr. Sarah Keller, a biophysicist at the University of Washington, puts it, we've spent decades learning how to manipulate light, humidity, and fertilizer for plants here on Earth. But in space, gravity is the variable that's missing, and until recently, we didn't have a good substitute. The ability to direct growth using magnets could be more than a laboratory trick. In the not-so-distant future, it might mean the difference between life and death for long-duration space crews. Fresh vegetables and grains aren't just vital for nutrition. They're key to mental health, morale, and the sustainability of missions that can't rely on regular resupply from Earth. Still, this magnetic revolution is in its infancy. The promising experiments from Emma, Laya, and their teams are just the first steps toward a space farming future. But as history has shown, technology born from youthful curiosity often sparks breakthroughs that change the world. Now imagine what would happen if these ideas reached the next level, if international space agencies or private companies decided to invest seriously in magnetic agriculture R&D. Could skyscraper greenhouses bristling with electromagnets produce wheat and rice for 100-member Mars colonies? Might we engineer seeds perfectly tuned to grow toward specific magnetic signatures, adapting them not just for space but for challenging environments here on Earth? But as promising as magnets seem, challenges and unanswered questions loom. What are the potential risks of exposing seeds and astronauts to strong, persistent magnetic fields? Could these invisible forces have unintended biological effects, perhaps even altering plant genetics over long periods? And if magnets only work with certain metals or crops, what happens to all the others we'd want to grow? Perhaps most intriguingly, what happens when you combine magnetic fields with other futuristic space farming technologies, like LED lighting tuned to the perfect spectrum, artificial atmosphere controls, or robotic pollinators? As we peer into the future, the vision is both electrifying and uncertain. At stake is nothing less than the ability for our species to survive and thrive beyond our home planet. The question remains, will magnets truly become gravity's stand-in, and are we ready to plant the seeds for humanity's next great leap? In the second half of our journey, we'll examine the big hurdles left to solve and the race to turn magnetic miracles into practical systems. Because as humanity prepares to stake its claim on the stars, our next meal may just depend on fields of force more powerful and mysterious than anyone ever imagined. So, where does this leave us? High school students have shown, in small-scale experiments, that magneto-priming, a simple method of magnetizing seeds, can help plants grow faster and straighter in microgravity conditions. But can we take these classroom successes and scale them up to support astronauts on long-term space missions, or even sustain future colonies on the Moon and Mars? The possibilities are breathtaking, but so are the unanswered questions. Let's imagine the roadmap ahead. Picture the interior of a spacecraft bound for Mars. Plants grow in racks, small green jungles in a world otherwise made of metal and silence. Right now, every ounce of water, soil, and fertilizer has to be shipped from Earth at great cost. So, ensuring that every seed grows efficiently isn't just a nice bonus, it's a matter of survival. If magnets could guide seedlings to grow where we want, it would mean fewer wasted resources. Plants wouldn't twist endlessly in search of a direction. They could focus all their stored energy into feeding astronauts, scrubbing carbon dioxide from the air, and replenishing morale with living color. But, as Dr. Nina Hoff of the ESA's Melissa Project puts it, every solution in space creates a new set of problems. What challenges might arise if magnetic farming becomes the norm in orbit? First, we need to consider the hardware. The magnets used in these student experiments were small and simple, but scaling up means complex engineering. Powerful magnetic fields might interfere with sensitive spaceship instruments or even affect astronauts over long exposure times. How strong do the magnets need to be? How should they be arranged? What happens if a magnetic field drifts into the electronics bay? Second, magnifying magnetism's effects on a wider variety of crops is a scientific unknown. Sugar snap peas and garden cress were chosen by the students for their iron content and responsiveness. But what about tomatoes, wheat, or microgreens? Every species may react differently. Some could flourish, others could falter. Third, there's the question of long-term health, both for the plants and for the humans eating them. The experiments show that magneto-priming increases auxin, the plant hormone that drives growth. But what if, over many generations, the plant's biology changes in unexpected ways? Could new forms of plant stress develop? Might the nutritional value of the crops shift? Even more intriguingly, could plants evolve new traits in response to growing up in a magnetic embrace? And let's not forget the cosmic context. Out in space, plants are not only missing gravity, they're exposed to cosmic radiation, dramatic temperature swings, and low-light conditions. If magnets can mimic gravity, could they also help in protecting plants from other perils of the cosmos, or is that asking too much from a humble magnet? Scientific intrigue runs parallel to technical opportunity. If these hurdles can be overcome, the opportunities are vast, not just for spacefarers but for people back home. Here's something amazing. The insights from magnetic farming could help address food security and resilience on Earth. In areas struck by drought, poor soils, or extreme climates, boosting plant growth and efficiency is a global challenge. Imagine low-cost magneto-priming, soaking seeds in magnetized water or brief exposure to magnets, helping farmers coax bigger yields from tough conditions. If it works under the stress of space, why not here? Consider vertical farming, the revolutionary method of growing vegetables in stacked shelves under controlled lights, saving water and space. Magnetic guidance could be the next upgrade, helping plants grow more uniformly, reducing wasted resources, and making city farming more efficient. The same technology that feeds astronauts could feed city dwellers in a world of 8 billion people. But the most profound lesson might be a philosophical one. Just as the first astronauts witnessed the fragility of Earth from orbit, working to grow food in space makes us appreciate the invisible forces shaping all life. Gravity, that ever-present pull, is something we take for granted, until it's gone. The magnetic solution dreamed up by teenagers is a powerful reminder. When the natural order is disrupted, sometimes the most creative ideas come from the most unexpected places. As Dr. Emma Tillery said after her award-winning experiment, maybe it takes a different perspective to find the next big step. If magnetic farming proves safe and effective, it could become a foundation for long-term human presence beyond Earth. Astronauts would not only carry seeds in their cargo, they'd bring the means to create new ecosystems. They'd become gardeners, stewards, and scientists all in one, helping life take root in the most unlikely places. But we aren't there yet. The road from high school experiments to full-scale lunar greenhouses is still long, full of engineering hurdles, biological mysteries, and technical details yet to be worked out. NASA, ESA, and private companies are watching closely, eager to test magnets aboard the International Space Station on a larger scale. We may see the first magnet-guided space crop harvests in the next decade. Until then, what can we take away from these experiments? First, that curiosity is humanity's most powerful resource. The willingness of ordinary students to ask, "What if?" and then test their ideas can spark revolutions, not only in space science but in how we think about life on Earth. Second, in every challenge lies the seed of opportunity. The struggles of plants in microgravity mirror our own struggles with new environments. Adaptation is possible, but it requires ingenuity and sometimes a complete shift in perspective. Whether you're a scientist, a student, or just someone who's tried to keep a houseplant alive, remember, nature is endlessly adaptable, and so are we. Finally, the future of food, on Earth and among the stars, depends on us pushing the boundaries of what's possible. What seems like science fiction today could become tomorrow's headline: astronauts harvest crops grown with magnetic fields on Mars. The secret fact? Magneto-priming isn't limited to space. Even here on Earth, researchers have found that brief exposure of certain seeds to magnetic fields can boost germination rates, strengthen roots, and improve yields, especially in stressed environments. This is a technology just waiting for more discovery. The next time you plant a seed, remember, the future of agriculture may be hiding in the everyday magic of magnets. So, Can we safely scale up magnetic farming for real space missions? The honest answer is, the evidence is promising, but more testing is needed. The risks, from technical interference to unknown biological effects, mean we must proceed carefully. But the rewards could be nothing short of revolutionary, both for space voyagers and for every hungry mouth back on Earth. If you're as fascinated as we are by this leap in agrotechnology, leave a comment below. What do you think will be the next breakthrough in space farming? Would you be willing to try magneto-priming in your own garden? And don't forget to subscribe.